Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
So a lot of my girlfriends have had doulas before, so I'd heard of the concept and thought that it'd be quite an interesting thing to look into for us. The main reason is that, I think historically women have had the village to birth babies, and suddenly we're now just a two-person unit to do that. And there's a lot of, pressure on the father to perform and in a situation that's new to them. So any help and hands on deck, I think is a good thing.
We kind of had a rough idea that it's someone who's just really supportive and supporting mothers during the journey. But we didn't really know what that would entail because we didn't know what birth would entail at all, either way. Of course, once we started learning what birthing was about, we started learning a lot about where a doula would fit into that too.
That's exactly what I need. I don't have immediate family in Sydney. My sister has young children and my parents are a little bit older, so I wasn't sure what would happen towards the later part of my pregnancy, and I hadn't really planned what I was going to do in terms of birthing and birthing support. And so the concept of a doula being there just for me, supporting me and advocating with me during birth was ideal.
So the first time I heard about a doula was actually in a book that I'd bought when I was pregnant for the first time. It was written by an economist, and this economist went through all of the things that were likely to lead to a better or worse pregnancy and birth. And one of the things that has lots of evidence behind it is having a doula present at your birth.
My first thoughts were, this is something that we never considered before. So I was quite enthusiastic and to honestly see what it's all about. And any kind of additional support would is always welcome anyway.
The first thing I can do myself.
I was more like, how can someone else gonna help you?
Some stranger, how is gonna help us?
I think the moment that I knew a doula was right for me was actually immediately after my first child was born. Because that was the moment when I thought, wow, I'm so glad I had a doula here beside me.
When I fell pregnant, my naturopath gave me a book called Birthary to read, and that was written by a midwife and a doula, and it just explained a lot about the role of a doula, and from that moment on I knew that I really wanted to have a doula at my birth.
From my point of view, once we met doula, met doula, we thought, there's someone who's got intimate details of what's happened, what's the process. And because we didn't know any, we just thought we just rock up and just things happen.
Yes.
happen.
We just thought it's gonna happen easily.
Happen, but once we discuss and there's a lot more to it and there's build up to it. So that's what we thought we should have the expert on our side.
It's a good thing we did.
So after my first birth, which was very traumatic, I made an inquiry about a doula, and I learned that the doula would be my voice. So I knew at that time that's exactly what I needed. So that was the moment I knew.
I knew that my mother wasn't the right support person for me for a variety of reasons, that I've seen her in stressful situations before, and my husband couldn't be there, so I wanted to have somebody with me.
For me as a religious person, the idea is I can't get inside with her to be inside the birth. From the time that the water broke, I can't touch her. She is my hand, the doula is me.
Karen and I had a really good chat about it all, and having a baby is one of the biggest things you'll ever do in your life. So we made that decision ourselves, and it was the right thing for us.
At my birth, the positive of having a doula there was just everything. I remember my husband saying that our doula was the Mary Poppins. So it was a lot better having, we got so much more than what the midwives and what we experienced from our obstetrician as well. It was also the assurance, having that advocacy, having someone help you make tough decisions, and basically making that birth about you.
The main positive impact for me was having a professional person besides the midwives there to help firstly my wife and myself as well when there were moments where we didn't know what was going on, or trying to advocate for us. And for me that was the most important impact.
Everything about having a doula at my birth was positive. Having a doula in the birthing suite, as well as my mum, meant that I felt confident that my mum was supported as well.
There were so many, but the biggest one for me was just that I had a lot more confidence with the choices that I was making. And that flowed through to feeling much better after the birth.
Not only was I in this medicalized environment, but this was baby number 6, and they started to tell me that I was a multi-birthing mother. I was so stressed and so sort of affected by the level of intervention that sort of descended on me when I came to the hospital, that whatever little labor I had completely stopped and went away. And this is where I think the doula came really handy, because like I was left at ground zero. Like I had no labor, no nothing, all the contractions went away. And I lay in the bed for an hour with a pillow like a teddy bear, and we talked and we lay, and she hugged me and she patted me, and we just had like a really basic human conversation until within about an hour or something, and I was comfortable enough that my body started to sort of kick back into gear and things picked up momentum again.
It's the best thing we did. I was in extreme pain, but I didn't feel like I was exhausted. I was in pain, but I was in so much of support of my doula that I feel like I can do it. Thanks to doula that she helped us and to make me feel positive that I can do it. And she empowered all my energy on like, yes, Zipti, you can do it. Then I think my doula helped me. Oh no, now you have to push. And this is the last stage. You are going to give birth ASAP now. So it was all good. I was so lucky to have doula with me.
Some stage, like being family and seeing someone like going through the pain, it's proper physical pain. It's a bit hard to see, and you can't help. You just being there, and then you get emotional too. But having doula in there, she lets you enjoy the moment. Yeah, it was really reassuring.
I just felt like I was in really safe hands. I think it took a bit of the pressure off my husband, because he obviously had not attended any births before with the first birth. Obviously with the second and third he had attended births before, but I still just felt having a really experienced person in the room who was like on my side, you know, not on the hospital side, was probably the smartest thing I did.
We've always had a doula at our births, and we've had 3 now. With the absence of having close family here, I think it was absolutely necessary step for us to go down the doula route. I think establishing a really strong relationship at the start was fundamental in all 3 experiences. You get to know people on a really nice and personal level, which was great. The support it gives the dad in what is a very emotional kind of day, setup, lead up, and afters. Was absolutely amazing.
So I think having our doula really helped. We'd planned from the beginning to have a natural birth, and you know, I ideally would have liked a water birth, and unfortunately things took a different turn during the birth process, and you know, we ended up having a C-section, which was actually a really beautiful experience. You know, it was calm. I used a lot of the techniques that our doula helped me with throughout the process. She directed us to some classes where we learnt different techniques as well, and they really helped on the day, and we ended up with a beautiful birth. A little bit different to what we expected, but it was still a really lovely experience.
The main big one is that it just made me more reassured with the whole process. The doula who understands the process and procedure of labour, and knowing the process of a hospital and what was available to me. So she was able to take out different tricks from her birthing bag, you know, such as essential oils, etc. And going into the shower, which really helped with pain relief. Was very helpful for my whole experience of the birth. And it also ensured that, you know, I didn't need epidural, and, you know, just the breathing exercises.
There were quite a few. I would say primarily for myself I considered myself to be a support person. But as much as I had prepared and been to a birthing course and done a whole lot of reading, there was a lot of what I knew that I didn't want to happen, but not so much of, I didn't know so much around the actual, a lot of the skills and the techniques, which could be really valuable. So that was probably the best part of having a doula there, to be able to help out. There were just things which, like, you can know a lot of stuff, but there's always going to be something else which you don't know, and that's what experience and additional education provides.
Having somebody there that I knew was there, first of all, and somebody that I knew was to some extent trained and knew what to do and what kind of things made birthing women feel comfortable and supported and encouraged and, you know, pain relief, all kinds of variety of things that, you know, doulas bring to their sort of tool shop. It really did make a big difference.
In the lead up, we met several times and discussed the birth plan and got to know each other. She'd check in regularly to see how I was feeling. You know, I was probably, in the lead up, I think probably to all of the births, I was a bit anxious. I always am. So yeah, it's nice just to have someone who's been to a lot of births and supported a lot of women to sort of talk you through those anxieties because they understand it.
We also did some really practical things. So for instance, this time around, my doula taught me some techniques that I could practice with my partner to make sure that my body was as optimized as possible for the birth, and also a few relaxation type techniques that I could use during the birth.
Leading up to the birth, our doula was very, very informative. She taught us a lot of things that we thought we knew most things, but there's always gaps in our understanding and knowledge. And so some of those tips, little tips, even though they were small, were very helpful.
Leading up to the birth, our doula was amazing. She gave us lots of information. She was always on hand. I had a multitude of questions and she never failed to deliver giving me information in the direction that I was looking for. So that was really helpful. She helped us with understanding birth choices and options and formulating our preferences in the form of our birth plan. And overall just made us feel really comfortable and prepared for going into birth. So it was nice knowing that she was there and she was on our team.
For us, it was an amazing process because it helped us both connect on another level where we could just understand what was going to happen. We didn't know what was going to happen for having a baby. So having a doula there really answered a lot of the questions. As a male, I spoke to the doula that we had and pulled her aside and said, look, I've got extra questions. And she was really accommodating for me and helpful. And then that reassurance, so basically she helped us to reassure that the process was going to be a positive one.
Really, the main part where the doula helped was leading up to, was in raising some of the points which were basically raising questions in our own mind, which we're not sure that we would have had those same questions asked if we were just with the obstetrician or just with our GP in the lead up to it.
She introduced me to things like hypnobirthing and those type of concepts. So having a doula, which is quite a different approach to birth, also helped me find different other approaches that really helped and supported me through my pregnancy.
And then of course during the birth, oh gosh, so many things. There were like pressure points and massages and just soothing words and helping me with affirmations. It was a lot. And of course, my doula took photos, which was one of the most valuable things about having a doula in the end.
On the actual day, amazing to think to yourself, we're not going to be alone through this process, and I'm going to have someone to help support me in supporting my wife. You know, we call, our doula arrived. It was like a little bit of magic. I mean, up to that point, we've been doing some of the early labouring at home and then in the hospital. And then when the doula arrived, I think it just helped calm things down just that next little bit and take us through the next stages.
At the time of the birth, we felt a lot more confident going in there, basically because we knew that our doula was going to be our advocate, basically, and was going to help us, you know, realise our birth plans and birth wishes.
You're both really tired, and just have that third person there with an objective view on what to do and how to do it was really, really amazing. And there was one particular move that she did that the midwives weren't doing, which actually got things really moving. I couldn't describe it. I could only a doula is probably secret magic or how they do it, whatever. I don't know how they did it, but
There's a spinning babies move.
Oh, the spinning babies move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even the midwife afterwards asked what the move was.
Yeah.
Because she wasn't aware of it. And I do think that I'd forgotten about that. I do think if that move, if she hadn't have done that spinning babies move, I could have quite possibly ended up having to have a cesarean because my birth had just gone on too long. And yeah, I was getting to the time limit where the hospital wanted me to deliver that baby.
The doula came with lots of aromatherapy and lots of different things which I have never experienced, and I knew it worked, but once I've experienced for myself, I saw how much of an impact it had and how positive, even in a small way, it was.
With the birth, actual birth, when the intense contractions happening, we are there for like 6 to 8 hours, and the nurses and midwives will come and go, but our doula was in there with us all the time, helping us out, being in our team, encouraging us, and in a side. So we just felt reassured all the time.
In each and every contraction, she was motivating me. Okay, you are just near to the birth. You are just near to the birth. You are going to deliver the baby soon. And it was so good, so amazing that I even didn't know how I did this. I knew, okay, I deliver a baby with natural birth, with no drugs, nothing. And I'm so helpful to my doula that she knew it, that I can do it. Thank you to be part of my team and help me for the birth of my baby. It was amazing time for me. I never regret for my decision.
I had this distinct moment of being in labour and looking up, and our doula had walked into the room, and I just felt this flood of relief over me, thinking, you know, she's arrived and she's here to help, and she had her magic bag of tricks that she had all her special things to help me get through labour, and I just knew that we had this, whatever happened.
Our doula came by, brought us some freshly cooked soup. We had some tea. She took Zelda off my wife's hands, which was really lovely for she to just be able to have some little bit of a rest. And we had a whole bunch of questions which we could keep asking, especially around breastfeeding and the like, and if our doula knew anyone who was able to help out, and that was a great support as well to get those referrals.
One thing for sure was when we were in the hospital, you use the hospital swaddles and things like that, and when we first came home, we're like using our own swaddles, and we're like, we don't know how to swaddle a baby because everything's different. And our doula was able to show us and send us some different swaddle techniques and different swaddles even. And her coming home first day, being in a different bassinet to the hospital, she started rolling around, and you're like, well, what do I do? This is all different. So just having a doula there, be able to support and answer our questions throughout. I had issues with breastfeeding, so having a doula there just helped me, you know, even telling me about different products, different possibilities or different options, just helps, even though we had multiple lactation consultants under our service. It's just good just having someone there who sees these day in, day out and is able to just provide us with different options.
We valued having a longer term postpartum support, which is very essential, because with having a young child, like a couple of days old, a couple of weeks old, there's a lot of questions arising all the time in the mind, what to do, is having this and that. So your doula, GP is not there 24/7, so doula was always there to answer our questions.
And after birth, they come round and can help you with if you're struggling with breastfeeding, you know, just making you a cup of tea. You know, you talk about how the birth actually went, how you feel about it. You can process that. It's really important to process the birth afterwards. You know, what went well, would you do anything differently? It really helps to just talk about it afterwards, I think. And I think a lot of women don't even know that it's really important to talk about it afterwards, but doulas really realise the importance of that.
Post-birth, and this is the most important thing for me, was the debrief. From my first birth, I had a lot of unanswered questions, and I was almost depressed for a long time after my birth. So not knowing what happened, there was none of that closure. So my second birth, that debrief really helped me understand exactly what happened, because a lot of things happen at birth, and it was nice to have that debrief and move on. It made a very positive overall birth experience.
But everyone, I had really good births, and I would never not have a doula. You know, I think, yeah, it helps you have the birth that you want to have.
I think everyone needs a doula.
They provide a service that's so valuable and supportive, and you know, I think it's hard for couples, especially with first-time babies, to understand what's going to happen. So that extra support, you know, is invaluable.
Every woman out there who's about to give birth, whether it's their first, second, or subsequent pregnancy, third or fourth even.
Everyone should have a doula. Basically, it's just another safety layer, another layer of support, basically, that is always helpful. You never know it's always such an unpredictable situation. So knowing that a professional person was on your side at the time was fantastic.
Really, any woman who wants to go into her birth feeling really empowered and really strong and confident, and who wants to have the best possible birth outcome for her.
Anyone who benefits from a doula, I'd strongly recommend that they speak to a doula.
I think people who would like to feel supported, people who would like to have somebody there, people who don't feel that having just a midwife and a husband in a hallway is enough, then those people would definitely benefit from having a doula.
First me. I am the one that need a doula. I can't help. I can't be there. So she's represent me. Like I am the one that push for. No, both of us push for that. But I feel she's my hand.
Everybody needs a doula. I think it's really important to have that one person there that's solely focused on the mother, that is also there to support other people in the room. But the intention is there to mother the mother. The true meaning of the word doula is to mother the mother and be there and support them. And it is, I think, was the most important thing for me, having my doula in the room with me.
Everybody should hire a doula. You need someone who has full of knowledge, who supports you till the safe delivery of a baby. Because there will be a moment then when you realize you have to give up, because everyone knows it's the most painful thing, but at the same time it's the most beautiful thing happening to you. So you need someone. Your husband will be there, sure, but when your family member is there, they can't see you in pain. They will also give up. Okay, leave it, yeah, my sister, my wife is in pain. Okay, we'll go for C-section. It's okay, everyone goes. But for doula, no, they never give up on you, because they know that you have all these power. You can give birth naturally. And it was, I would say, even if there's a second birth, third birth, I recommend everyone, why are not hiring doula? Then they were like, why? I'm like, you will understand once you hire doula. So I'm so happy that, yes, everyone.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. I've already used my doula again for my first and my second VBAC. I couldn't imagine giving birth again without having my doula there. It's that familiar face. It's that security that you get. I remember saying after my second VBAC, it would be a no deal having another baby without my doula present at birth.
Most definitely. Yeah, I would have two doulas if I was given a choice.
Yes, I would definitely use a doula again. I recommend to my friends who are pregnant or thinking about having a baby about using a doula. I've informed and actually educated people about what a doula is, having found that out for myself. And I think that if I were to have another child, definitely I would be using a doula.
I have no second doubt. Yes, even when we know that we are going to talk to my doula, and then my sister says, oh, for second birth, what do you think? I mean, no, for second, third, fourth, for every birth, I am going to hire doula.
Yes, sure, yeah, 100%. Especially with the second, if you have a second child, then you probably need more because you might be spending time with your daughter or son who's already there. Then you need someone who's helped you before, or if he hasn't, like anyway, someone from your team is there 24/7. You know.
Oh, we did. This is our firstborn. When we had our second, we went to the same doula, and she was ecstatic to be involved in the process again. And I was so glad that she could be there for the birth of both of our children.
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing that I said after I had my daughter was I couldn't have done this without my doula, and it was one of the first things that my husband and I discussed when I fell pregnant again.
Absolutely, because every birth is different, and in my situation I'd be looking for hopefully a different experience, and I think a doula would really assist with that. So
I think from a male's point of view, I think having a doula really helped us, and I just think I think it's worthwhile. Very worthwhile.
Is that so you got breaks?
Yeah.
It's good to do the birthing courses, and they're really important. They're really important to do as well. But when you're in that room, it's just, I wouldn't have had the birth experiences that I had if I hadn't have had a doula. If you're on the fence about getting a doula, I would definitely say take the plunge.
Doctors comes and goes, they do a good job, they do a great job, but at the same time you don't have the one doctor or nurse midwife in with you in the birthing suite, yes, in the whole process. But your doula will be there for as long as it goes, and it's going to be there, So you don't have any someone to ask questions, what's happening, what's going to happen, someone to assure you, and just be someone in your team and do the right thing by you.
One thing I'd like to share was that initially I wasn't sure that having a doula would be right for me, because some of the things that the doulas that I was reading about said sounded kind of crunchy, kind of hippie-ish, and that's not really my style. But I do think that there's a doula out there for every woman, and it's just a question of finding the person that you click with and forming a really solid relationship.
I think that a lot of people, when I raised the idea that we were thinking of going with a doula, there were a lot of men in particular who seemed a little bit hesitant about the idea or unsure. I think they thought that this person was kind of come between me and my wife during the birth rather than being a support person. And I think from the very first meeting with the doula, those concerns disappeared for me. It was clear that she was there to support us as a team, and a big part of that was supporting me through this process. I think I really needed that support on the day as well, and I was really glad to have it. So I think the right person can really be there for the team support, both the man and the woman.
I think having a doula there has definitely immensely improved the experience of labour, and it's just made it so much more calm, and just knowing that you have someone there to support you who only has your best intentions at heart really helps. And we don't go into labour every day. Some of us has 2, 3, 4 kids, but a doula sees birth more often, so they know what the procedure of hospitals are or what you're going through, and be able to guide you. That really helps, because you're not there and you don't experience it every day, but having someone do that just really helps improve the process immensely.
I'm not trained in childbirth, and I think it's great that we have someone experienced, that can come in and just assist, not do it the wrong way, and make the whole process uncomfortable for us, but just make the process easy for us, and just smooth everything over and bring a little one like this into the world. I really think it's important that you talk to your partner about having a doula. For us, it's a no-brainer. We have a second child. I think it's really, really important. I think in life, it's one of the biggest things you'll ever do, having a child, so like anything, if you run a business, you get a business coach, or you work with professionals that help you, and you go and see people that could basically help you in life. I think for us, a doula really helped us bring our little girl into the world and made the process as smooth as possible. And
so I think our whole journey came down to, making the right choices for us with the information that we're provided. And a lot of that came from our doula. She helped us with resources and reading and understanding, you know, and I think as much as the medical system is helpful, it's also, you know, they can direct you in a different way. So it's nice to know that you have a voice and you have someone to advocate for you and to help you make the best decision to get the best outcome and the most amazing experience.
I can just say that having the doula there has been life-changing, I guess, in terms of the whole birth experience. I was pretty traumatised from the first one, so I went with the second one a bit wary, and the third one I went with full confidence. So I think that's the difference that a doula can do. Knowing that someone's going to be there to bat for you. My experience with hospitals is that they sort of bully. I feel that when I was there, I felt bullied to having a repeat cesarean twice, and the things that the hospital had told me didn't make a lot of sense to me. So my doula helped me consider all that information, and I think that ultimately led to me having 2 successful VBACs, and that has made motherhood extremely different. I was able to be fit to look after my own children, not like my first birth where I couldn't do anything, and that wasn't a way to start motherhood for me. So it's been a big difference. It's definitely life-changing.
Having someone there via SMS or phone call, 24 hours almost, was extremely helpful. You think you know everything when it comes to a birth, but there's always something that you don't understand or don't know how to handle it. And our doula was always there, and we were extremely grateful. As a support partner, you think you're prepared enough for the situation, but it was a big shock for the first time not having a doula around and not knowing, realizing that you don't know as much as you think you should know. And mentally and physically, it was very exhausting time. So it was a big relief.
Uplifting.
Supportive.
Fantastic.
Empowering.
Enlightening.
Reassuring.
Informed.
Nurtured.
It's simplified, it's easy.
Magnificent.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Advocacy.
Prepared.